sport, just naturally. I don't know. I've always been active in the gym. I got my first membership when I was 14 years old and have just always lifted and enjoyed that and used that as a stress reliever for me. When I was in college is the first I ever saw of other people competing and like didn't really know anything about it. At that time I was dating somebody who competed as well, and that kind of opened me up to it. And then I waited until after I was done with college and didn't have to invest all my money into that. And I was like, okay, now I feel like I'm in a good spot where if I wanted to actually try this, I could give it a shot, see how it goes. And um, I didn't think, like before, I always looked at it and I was like, oh, like I could never do that. I could never like starve myself for that long or whatever, right? But I wanted to challenge myself and see like what would I look like stage lean? How much muscle do I actually have under all of this? So it was more so just for fun. And then I loved it. And I was like, hey, I actually have a really good future here. I am competitive and this is fun. I like it. So that's kind of how I got started.
Technical difficulties, computer's acting up. Oh yeah, this is a lot of young people get into athletics. I was when I was young. I played football in my high school years. I played other sports as a young man. Lift weights too. I used to love lifting weights when I was in high school. By the time I was 17, I was already doing 350 on the bench, and I was like, yeah, I was one of the strongest guys in my team. I mean, and it's good. It's something that gets you a passion for sports to work out and train. And I saw in your interview, KL, you did a bunch of sports when you were coming up.
Yep, I did. In high school I ran cross country. I ran track and pole vaulted in track as well. And then I wrestled in high school. I wrestled on the boys team, and then my sophomore year we actually created a girls wrestling team at my high school, and we got third in the state our first year. It was awesome. So those were kind of my sports growing up in high school. And then in college, I was actually supposed to run track and cross country in school, and I ended up not doing it because they didn't have a pole vaulting program at all. And that was one of my favorite things to do. I was like, I'm not going to run and put all my time into this if I can't even do the one thing that I really want to do super bad. So, yeah, in college, I tried to create a powerlifting club at our school, but it didn't really take off super well. So I just did everything myself, kept up with the training myself in college, and started to work at a gym there my like sophomore year in college, and then started my business my senior year of college and into my master's year too.
Mm, shoot. You did start your business in college? Yeah, most people in college would be like, "Hey, dude, get drunk, get have fight." But to have that determination to do something that really gives you passion to start your own business. Like I said, like a lot of young people, they rather just okay. When I get out of college, I'm gonna move out of my parents' basement and I'm gonna get myself a good job. But then you still live in your parents' basement and you still live the same job you're working at. And yeah, that's a lot of work. So so when did you eventually get into bodybuilding? You know,
Yeah, I did my first show in August of 2023. So I graduated grad school in 2022, and pretty soon after that, like because I graduated in May, but we weren't done with school until like August. So I remember like September, October, a couple months after I was done, I reached out to my coach now, Dominic Kuza, and I asked him, I was like, hey, I want to compete. I was like, I've never done this. Sent him over some photos of like my starting point and where we were at. And we did like pretty much a whole off season. Yeah, because then my first competition was August 2023. So we did pretty much a whole year of an off season, and then I competed it a year from then in August, and then I've been with him ever since. And I had one other show before nationals this year that was the Western Michigan show. That was November 2nd in Grand Rapids. And then we did nationals. So I've done 3 shows in total.
Like I say, you're still young, like you're still young, in the instead of it. But yeah, I mean, it's a sport where it takes time to grow and develop the process. And you and Dominic, that's your coach. Y'all been working for a long time. Does he have any more clients, or you are one of his only ones?
No, he's got a lot of clients. I don't know. I don't believe he has as many female competitors now, but he works with a lot of male competitors. A lot. Like, he's been in the industry for, I believe, like over 10 years now. And he works with lifestyle clients as well. So he does competition and lifestyle. But I'm pretty sure that man has like over 200 clients. He has a ton.
hmm Yeah, I mean that's a lot to have. I know there's a lot of top coaches that have quite a few clients. Some of them I even met in person. Like some guys I can think of like Nasir, I say Nasir, Shelby Starnes. There's also Brandon Ray. A lot of top trainers, and they have done good work, especially those working with women, because women bodies are different compared to men. Chemistry, physiology is totally different, and you have to understand that because you just can't give the same plan you give to a man to a woman. Even every man is different, but sometimes men we can build muscle more than women can, and it'll take us long for us to lose the weight. But y'all women, y'all have more of a high BMI. Your body chemistry is different. There's so many factors when it comes to being a woman in bodybuilding.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, yeah, when it comes to your hormonal health and making sure you're in check with all of those things. For me, I feel like it's a little easier because I don't have all the extra, like I'm 100% natural, so I feel like that if you're performance enhancement drugs, like that's a whole other level of things to manage within a bodybuilding prep. Um, Whereas, for me, like there's only so much we can do, right? There's only so much we can add in, so much we can take out. Like there's only so much. So, but yes, it does. It's completely different working with men versus females. Um, and yeah, he just does a great job. Like he's very um and I'm the type of person where like I do better if somebody is not constantly giving that validation or all of those things, and I feel like that relationship of less like coddling or whatever like works very well for me. So yeah, he's been a fantastic coach, and as far as education and like teaching his athletes beyond just telling you what to do, he's really great with that too.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like that. Have somebody, okay, take my hand, boss, and walk me across it. Nah, nah. Sometimes you have to stand on your own, but it's good that he's there to back you up, especially when you have those days where you falter.
Hmm.
Because this is a tough sport. And I said again, you're a natural competitor, which is a different aspect from those who are more enhanced. It's tougher to compete because, one thing is I know we talked to some of natural competitors that it takes a longer to put on the size and muscle to compete with the ones who are enhanced. Because I know one lady she told me it takes a full year for her to get at least 7 pounds of muscle. Because she did a show a while back, and she was top three because there was only three competitors. But still, they tell her that she need to put a little more size. It's a lot harder for her.
Yeah. Yep, it is. And like that's yeah, a lot of the people that competed against at nationals and whatnot for women's physique, they were a lot older. There was actually a girl on stage with us, one that was younger than me. I think she was 21 or 20. But everybody else was like 26 and up or in their 30s or 40s. Like it's a division that you have to take the time to build the muscle, and the muscle maturity is very important there. Whereas like, if you were entering a category with a little less muscle, you might be able to do that and have a winning pro physique in less time than somebody trying to go for bodybuilding or physique.
I think the young lady you talk about is Casey McJunkin. I interviewed her a couple of weeks ago, right after she did the nationals. And I think also a couple of ladies I interviewed, you also got their pro cards at that show. Many of them, like I said, yeah, or in their 30s and 40s. I think also that muscle maturity comes in, especially if you can be been competing for a long time. Sometimes it takes years, especially for women. Sometimes I like this. I've been following body for a long time, and I see that usually some of these women who start really hitting their peak is usually around about mid to late 30s to early 40s. And
Hmm.
then like good example, somebody who she just turned 41 uh, last month is Andrea Shaw, 41 years old, and her physique is amazing. I'm a fan of Andrea's. I mean, just she just comes in and she just keeps getting better and better year after year.
Yes, I love her. She's very, very graceful. And just, yeah, like, I think she's just beautiful the way she holds her muscle and presents it, and all the work she puts in. And she's also like the nicest person ever if you've met her in person or talked to her too. And yeah, she's a very great role model in this sport to look up to.
Yeah, because I know you said you met her, you talked before. This is something I love to show off every time I do an interview because this says like this is my favorite issue. A friend of mine got it for me when she was at the Olympia back in 2023, and she saw Andrea, and it just really gives me a highlight why I keep doing what I do. This is my reward. I mean, I don't get a lot of monetization from this my YouTube channel, but this is a reward for me when she takes the time off and sign this magazine and tell me she thanks me for my support and she loves me. I love her too. I love her too. I want to
So,
marry her. But yeah, it's great there's good people like her representing the sport and giving us a view of what it is to be an athlete in bodybuilding.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah. Here we got here comments. This is from my man Balls Deep coming through. He says this. He says, "Good afternoon, gorgeous." Yeah, shout out to Balls Deep. He says. Also, he says, "Chicago in here. Welcome, brother. Thank you for that." Also, he says, "Smash the like button. I appreciate that." Also, he says, "Peace and blessings, beautiful." He's a fan. And also, he says, his another favorite quote is "Schmo gang, 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 gang," and I'm part of that gang. And also, yeah, he says, "She's beautiful." Yeah, he sure is
Thank
party. He sure is party. Playing a young thing like you. But like I said, this is the thing is, bodybuilding does need a lot of you young people to come in and give it life. I mean, you're just out of college. And as I'm a bit of an old dodger here, I'm gonna say you're still wet behind the ears and breath like Similac. But it's good to see when young people like yourself get involved in the sport and really give it some new life. It's exciting because it knows that it's a fan base for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think I like that this sport is one you can enter really at any time, right? But I like that there are younger people getting more involved in it now. And I think that, I don't know, I remember when I was growing up and first got into the gym and whatnot, like people thought that it was weird. I was just writing a caption about this earlier today for like a post for next week. Like, I remember people saying to me, like, don't get too big or whatever. And it's like, imagine telling somebody not to like go for what they're going for, right? Or like not to work super hard for something, which is basically what you're saying with that, right? Like don't get too big, like don't work too hard with it, don't do too much, right? And I think now having muscle is becoming more of a trend, I would say, which I love. Whereas before it was kind of viewed as being like gross or being masculine. And some people still feel that way, right? Maybe it's just the realm and the people I surround myself with that makes me say that. But I like that health in general is becoming more of a trend and people are taking it more seriously, whether that's bodybuilding or whatever that means to you, right? Having some way to challenge yourself and push yourself and get a little uncomfortable, I think is important.
Yeah. One thing, you have to live for you. You can't live for nobody else. You can't
Yeah.
make everybody happy. You should make yourself happy. And I understand the thing is that I think because people don't think women with muscle is very feminine. That's always going to be the thing, the femininity factor. Everybody will say like, "Oh, she's trying to be a man." No, she's not trying to be a man. This is what it is. Being a man is not physical. It's something, a state of mind. See, I grew up as a kid. I grew up became a man. I worked. I trained. I do this. I did that. I had to do make choices that adults make, and then that for men to me to be a man. Just because some women look kind of masculine doesn't make them a man. That makes you an athlete who works hard, who trains, understands what your goals are. And if people don't understand that, that's on them. I know it might offend your graces, but that's you. Folks, what we're going to do here while we have Colette here, we're going to jump into a social media.